All right. So it's been brought to my attention that me talking about certain things in relation to failure is fairly confusing to some people. And so I want to clear some things up so you can really get an understanding of what I mean when I say go out and seek failure. Try and fail as much as you can and really just get your failures out of the way so that you can start succeeding faster. And so here's the initial problem. I grew up in a military household. My mom, to this day, is still in the military. She got in when I was about 1 years old. And so, her joining the military when she was 21, 22 years old completely framed her entire mindset and understanding of how the world works. And the military, it's for the most part, we need you to be perfect. We'll give you specific guidelines. You do everything that we tell you to a T, making it as perfect as possible, paying attention to every single detail. And if you do all those things, everything should fall into place exactly how it should. And while that works in especially in a time of war, that's 100% necessary. When it comes to the civilian world, when it comes to the vast majority of people experiencing life, trying to build businesses, trying to go through personal development, and many other things, that's just not the reality. When it comes to sports, doing everything absolutely perfect is definitely the goal, but that's not the reality. And it's the furthest thing from how reality works. See, in the real world, most things are developed through trial and error. That's the entire scientific process, but also just adjusting to mitigate as many issues as you can. So it's really do this, you see something messes up, you fix that problem, you do it again, you see what else messes up until you have something where you know the entire process, you have an entire system, again, to mitigate as many issues as possible. And this is where things get tricky. When you're on your personal development journey, you will not be perfect. Nowhere in any way, shape, and form in your life will you be perfect. And if you are, then you've become a robot. And in terms of most things, being a robot when you're doing it is more than likely a good thing. Because again, you're mitigating as many risks and as many issues as possible. But then it takes the life, the creativity, the human aspect out of it because we were never meant to be perfect. We were meant to be progressively better. And so that's where failing comes in. The reason I say the school system should teach failure in a different way, in a different perspective, is because of this. If I get told I'm failing because I can't get this math problem wrong, it won't influence me to want to go do it more to get it right. But if we say, here's 100 math problems that are just slightly outside of your range of capabilities, let's see which ones you get right, let's see which ones you get wrong. You get 25 right, you get 75 wrong. Now it's like, okay, cool. We see what you've done wrong. And that's okay. That means you don't fully understand it now. It's time for us to adjust your learning so that you can get this bulk of the questions right. And so we put you through, help you figure out how to do all these types of math problems. And then we give you that same test again. And now instead of only getting 25 right, you end up getting 46 right. So now you have 54 that are still incorrect. Technically, in terms of the school standard, you would still get an F. But at the same time, you've improved and you have a clear understanding on how to do far more than you were beforehand. And so it's like, okay, we'll put you through the drills again. We'll have you practice this subset of problems. We'll have you practice that subset of problems. Then we'll put that same test in front of you again. Did you get better? Did you improve? Oh, now you're sitting at 75 right, 25 wrong. You've improved, but in terms of taking this one assessment, you've already failed 3 times. You know what I mean? So if you can say, okay, in any endeavor of my life, I'm going to practice this subset of this ability and I'm going to go see how far I can take it. And you see where you fail at. You see what things you're still doing wrong, what things still need to be improved on, what things need to be executed better. And then you go out again and you try and, for example, say you build a business. Say your business is personal training. So you build a personal training offer, you put it out, absolutely nobody wants to purchase. You wait a week, you wait a month, you contact 100 people. All 100 of those people end up saying, nah, I don't want that offer. You say, okay, cool. there's something wrong with my offer. Let me tweak the copywriting. Keep the exact offer the exact same, but you change the copywriting, send it out to another 100 people. Okay, this time you get 10 people to purchase. And you start talking to those 10 people and you say, what are the things that you like about this? What are the things you're probably never going to use? So you take out what they don't like, you lean into what they do like, and then again, tweak the copywriting based on what are the problems that you're seeing coming from this personal training offer that I have for you. And people say, oh, I love the way you said this, but this doesn't really make sense to me. You were talking about that, but it didn't impact my decision to buy at all. Oh, where you said this was the big thing I'm keying in on, and that's why I wanted to make this purchase. So you say, okay, cool. You take your personal training offer once again, you tweak what you have within that offer, you tweak what your copywriting says and how you're marketing it, and you even specify a specific niche because now you have a better understanding of how chiropractors end up going about their physical fitness. So now you've gone and technically failed 4 times. You haven't put yourself in a position where you can live off of your personal training offer. You haven't put yourself in a position where you can even do personal training full time on this full time. And you haven't put yourself in a position where you're making consistent enough income from personal training to really say that you're an entrepreneur. And you failed 3 times. But now that you've gotten all this feedback and you've been able to iterate 3 different sets of times, then you come back with the 4th, and now you send it out to 100 people. 45 of the people end up purchasing, which puts you at a 45% conversion rate, which is insane for any organization in any business. But now you're like, okay, that's my win. Now I have 45. Oh my goodness. You have 45 people who purchased your offer and now are like, you are my guy who's teaching me how to pretty much change my physical fitness. So now that you've gotten to that point, you've been able to actually succeed, but it took 3 failures and you were on the point of being at your 4th. And so now you're like, okay, perfect. I have a business. I have everything running. I'm making, let's say each personal training offer was $100 so, or $1,000 per month. And you just got 45 people to sign up for it. Now you're at the point where you're having $45,000 a month coming in of monthly recurring revenue for a 6-month period. It'd be insane. It'd be amazing, right? But now you're like, I want to figure out how to scale this. And so you start looking at what's going on within your process. And 2 months into you having made this offer, having sold these 45 people, whatever system you use ends up crashing. It's by all entrepreneurial business standards, you weren't prepared. You ended up failing in the sense that you didn't have the infrastructure to actually service as many clients as you were able to get because you were focused on the front end, getting people in the door instead of focusing on the entire bulk of the process of having the infrastructure for all these people. So you end up taking some of that 45,000 per month MMR or MRR, and you end up going to, let's say, a app creator. You start getting someone to do the coding, you start getting someone to do the UIs, do the UX, and everything included into getting this app up so that this does not crash and you have a sustainable system to service your clients. So you end up getting all this done. You migrate everybody over to a new system. You do one more launch. You end up getting more customers. So now in terms of really dialing in your offer and getting lead acquisition, you're doing great. You're testing new things, but maybe this one hits, maybe this one fails. Maybe this one hits, maybe this one fails. But everything's starting to improve. But once you make this launch for your new app, everybody gets on it and it crashes again. So real quick, you end up sending out extra money. You get your coding or your coding guy and your UI guy that makes some adjustments. They play with the back end of the app. They do their thing. They send it out again. It works well, but now you're getting more clients in. You end up with 100 clients on this app and it crashes again. So you get those coding guys to play with the system, to put up a new patch, to put up a new update, and then you send it out again. And you just continually play with this process of, I need to get the bare bones minimum out. I need to put something out that can be iterated on. This is where that failure comes in. You put out something that you know more than likely is going to leak at some spot. It's going to have some issues here or issues there, but you go for it. And then when you figure out what ends up falling apart, then you say, okay, now this is where my next step is going to be. This is going to be the adjustment that helps me get to that next step. And you solve that one problem that you're facing in the moment, and you take notes of other problems that may end up happening. And then once that problem is fixed, you go looking for the next one. You go looking for every point of failure you can, so that when everything's said and done, you're able to say, it took me a year of failure after failure after failure after mess up after mess up after mess up for me to get to the point where now my system, now my app, now my offer is foolproof, and I can just run this play over and over and over. Versus in my situation, having a military mom, and I'll put in this scheme of school, everything had to be practically perfect. I would get grounded for getting a B plus on a test. If my grade ever dropped from an A in any class, I would end up losing my phone, losing my car keys, getting things taken from me, because even not being the best, I could be doing great in terms of everything. I was one of the top in my class every single year since 6th grade. And yet, if it was not an A, it was not a good day. And that was so mentally straining, because it's like, it taught me that if I'm not doing perfect, if I'm not doing right every single time I get in some situation, if I'm not exactly what's needed, saying exactly what's right, doing exactly what's expected, I was a failure and I wasn't worth whatever. Versus now, I genuinely seek rejection. Like, if I want to go talk to somebody, I'll walk up, try and give them a fist bump, try and shake their hands. If they ignore it, I'll fist bump myself, I'll shake my own hand and move on with my day. That rejection doesn't matter. I'll sometimes apply to jobs in another state just looking to see, well, are they going to actually hire me? But expecting them to deny. Why? To tell myself it's not that big a deal. To get so used to being told no, to be so used to making a mess up and just figuring out how to iterate, how to do better, how to move forward. That's the only way I've been able to consistently get to a point of being successful. And this is the thing. I've noticed and experienced, the more that I've been willing to accept the discomfort of being told no, the discomfort of failing, the discomfort of something not being perfect, the more progress I've been able to make. For example, personally, I really do believe the first handful of my videos that I posted on YouTube were complete failures. Like, even going back and watching them now, I get sick. I get embarrassed at looking at them. But the big thing is, over the last week and a half, I've posted a video every single day, and I told myself, I don't care how horrible it is. I don't care if I get 0 views. I'm going to put this video up. I'm going to literally record, sit here, talk to the camera, put my little color grading on, and upload it. I might cut out this or that, but I'm not going to do anything extra. And by posting the videos over and over and over, and really just sitting down talking to a camera so that I get something up, I've gotten to a point where now I can watch my videos and actually enjoy them and actually learn from my own self and my own thought process on many things, because I've gotten comfortable with the fact of, if no one watches, it's okay. If I post this video and it genuinely gets 0 views, I failed, but that's fine. I still got the practice of making a video. I still got the practice of having an idea and really trying to articulate it to the absolute best of my abilities so that someone may be able to learn from it. That's my focus. That's my goal. And so in terms of hitting my goal of talking to a camera, articulating an idea, and trying to be helpful, I'm doing that. But in terms of actual scalable success, I failed. In terms of, if we're looking at school, that'd be like a student coming in and saying, I want to get the practice of doing math problems. I want to practice doing addition. So he goes through, does 100 problems. He only gets 25 right, gets 75 wrong. If that was an assessment, he would fail. But his entire perception was, I want to get better at doing these math problems, so I'm just going to do what I can, and whatever ends up wrong, I'm just going to try and get a little bit better at that. And if I fail again, I'm going to try and get a little bit better at that. And if I fail again, and that process just repeats. So again, because some of you guys don't fully understand the process behind failing, just think of it this way. I want you to do your best and really focus on the input instead of the outcome. So your goal, your entire idea is, I want to do the input so much that the outcome takes care of itself. Because so many people get so wrapped up in, I want this specific outcome, that they try to learn. They try and figure out everything they need to do. They want to have every answer, every question answered, and they want to have every piece of equipment, every tool, every perfect thing before they actually start, because they're so worried about messing up. They're so worried about failing. And in the real world, those mess ups and those failures are the things that actually teach you the correct answer. If we're playing football and we're on the field and it's the first day of practice and I act like I heard every single thing the coach tells me and I start doing some random stuff, I failed. But those failures, because I obviously wasn't paying attention, if coach calls a 24 blast and you're the running back, you're supposed to run through B gap on the right side of the field, but you run to B gap on the left side of the field, you've just now failed. But because you went to the wrong side of the field, now you can look over, 2-4 gap. And now that means when I hear 24, I know on the right side of the field, on the second gap from the center, that's where I'm supposed to be running to. A failure could lead to that success. And if you're willing to actually go through the point of actually failing, of actually messing up, to not do everything perfect every single time you do something, and you're focused more on getting quality reps and figuring out what went wrong on the last rep so you can improve it on the next rep, you will get so much farther. You will do so many more things. You'll get so many more reps in than the person who tries to sit at the back to watch every single person go and find the perfect opportunity to do the perfect practice rep. And then by the end of the week, they've gotten 4 practice reps and they're sitting on the bench, versus the guy who said, all right, I'm going to go do this hitting drill real quick. Oh, I just got ran over by this running back. Yep, next time I got to get lower. Oh, I just ended up running over this guy, but my form wasn't good. I didn't chop my feet enough before I tried to make the tackle. Oh, I'm going to go up against this guy. Oh, he hurdled me. So now I need to keep my head up, keep my shoulders up, and at the point of contact, drop my hips, drop my shoulders, and roll. You can learn so many things because of the issues, because of the hardships, because of the problems you face in your failure, instead of trying to be perfect every time. And when you give up that perfectionist mindset, that's when you're able to actually make the strides you want to go through. Now, I'm going to direct this at one specific person. You need to understand the practice of failure. Repetition and doing the thing over and over and over is more important than trying to make every single rep as perfect as possible. Now, trying your best, doing what you can in the moment is definitely going to be important, is going to be impactful, and it'll help you take strides. But if you're so hung up on trying to do everything perfect, having all the information, and trying to be as infallible as possible, you're going to waste too much of life. I know how you think. I know how you are. Certain situations you feel as if every answer could be given beforehand, but that doesn't actually teach true wisdom. Wisdom comes from that failure and learning from that situation, the experience of certain moments. And if someone can give you an experience through a story, through a message, through a lesson, and then have you practice what you need to do correctly, it's going to allow you to be able to take shortcuts. But this is the thing. If you're getting an answer and you go off and practice it, that practice is you shortchanging the failure in the real world, because you're failing behind closed doors. So at the end of the day, you still need to work, you still need to go fail, and you still need to go put in repetition after repetition after repetition. And the vast majority of those repetitions will not be high quality. And those high quality reps are exactly the failure I'm seeking and that I'm looking for. When I go out and meet new people, when I go to networking events, there's a lot of awkward conversations. But it's gotten me to a point where I can talk to a camera like I'm actually talking to a person and feel completely comfortable. It's gotten me to a point where I can go meet somebody, shake their hand, say, hey, I'm Terrell, nice to meet you. How's your day going? Have a full-blown conversation and have that person walking away smiling, remembering my name because I left an impact on them. And it all came from me failing at networking events and being awkward. Me being the kid who would go to parties and sit in the corner because I don't like talking to new people. But just having had to be in front of so many new people and have those awkward conversations, that finally it's like, it's another person. If the conversation ends up awkward, I'll probably never see him again. And that's okay. It's put me in a situation where, in terms of job applications, I've applied to so many jobs that if I apply to a job and I don't hear back, I don't think twice about it. If I end up getting an interview and I don't get accepted, I'm like, cool, I'm already working my job, I already have my money. I've been in so many situations where failure was the only thing I could do. And that was what worried me so much that now it's like, if I fail, I fail. And that's okay because I've accepted there's nothing I'm going to do moving forward where I won't reach failure. In terms of going to the gym, when I work out, I'm trying to get to the point where I can't lift the weight anymore. That's how I'm going to build good muscle. When it comes to reading, I'm trying to find the edge of my limitations in terms of what I understand so that I can learn something new, so I can do something new and actually change my life. When it comes to video editing, there's so many things that I see and I'm like, I really want to do that. And I'll try and even I will genuinely take someone else's video, put it on my video timeline, and try and copy and match exactly the edits that I'm doing to that video. And it'll still end up not like that. But through doing that once, then I kind of get a terrible video. Then I do it a second time, and it'll end up being a little bit better. Then I'll do it a third time, and it'll look somewhat good. And I'll do it a fourth time. And now people will actually comment on my videos or DM me saying, oh, I really like your video. I really like the style. That was really cool. The way you did that looks really nice. And I'm like, okay, so I've been on the right track. But it took me 4 videos failing for me to get to that 5th one where people actually see the value and actually like the cinematography of it. And it's come from failure. It's me accepting failure, me accepting, okay, certain things, I'm going to have to do it a handful of times before it even comes out to a point where one person is willing to compliment me. I have to do this thing so many times to the point where so many people have seen the progression from me being absolutely terrible to being, not too bad for someone to actually say something. And I need to do a whole bunch of things that are not too bad for people to be like, hey, that's all right. And then I need to do all right work so long that people are like, oh, this is actually good. And from that point, once you're doing that thing that's good for a while, you'll probably get to the point where now you need to change up your entire scheme. You need to change up your entire process for you to be able to take that good quality up into great. And then that's where failure after failure after failure, iteration after iteration after iteration will come in. And that process will continue to repeat. And it will not stop until you finally get to the point where you break through that threshold. Your the inertia trying to hold you back will be overcome by, I forget the scientific term. I think it's I forgot the term. Either way, the inertia holding you back will not be able to overcome you pushing and your thrusting. That sounded crazy. Inertia will not be able to stop the force of you pushing as hard as you could. And you will be able to break through the atmosphere, through all the wind resistance of life and challenges, and actually get where you want to go. And it all stems from failure. It all stems from failure. Every single failure sets you up for a better, more successful attempt next time. And the big thing is, especially when it comes to failure, one thing that I've really began to understand, if you don't do something 100 times, you can't even believe that you're beginning. You need about 99 failures to really get good at, to even begin doing anything. And I will stand on that. Before you can even say you could shoot a 3-point shot, you need to take at least 100, because the first 50, you're kind of just throwing it towards the hoop. Once you're at that 50 mark, now you're actually really trying to aim, really trying to focus on your form. Once you get to that 100 mark, you've then focused on your form. You've actually shot it at the hoop. You kind of can gauge the distance. You can gauge how hard you need to jump. You can gauge how hard you need to flick your wrist. And then from there, that's when the real growth starts, because you got the basics and the foundations of it down. But you still put up 99 shots. And out of those 99, how many did you really make? Especially if you're a beginner at basketball, how many would you really realistically make? 20 maybe? But even those, how many of that came from skill? Ultimately, those first 100 we can always consider as like a failure. But once you break that threshold, now you have an idea of what you're supposed to do based on the failure of what you've already been doing. And so now you can say, this is how I'm going to adjust and this is how I'm going to move forward. And when you get to that point, then you can continue to push. And that's why failure is so important. Now, I hope you've taken the time to really dive deep and actually take some notes on why failure is actually important, how it actually affects your movement forward, and what you can do to actually try and fail. Hopefully the idea and the concept of seeking failure sits in a different type of way. But I just want you to know, if you're too afraid to fail, I'm sorry. I simply just didn't explain it enough, because failure is going to be that thing that once you can stop being afraid of it, everything's going to change. Life gets a lot better once you accept failure, you seek it out, because one, it makes you seem more confident. A lot of people think I'm a very confident person because I'm fine having uncomfortable conversations. If it gets awkward, I'm probably not going to see you again. In terms of trying to sell something, I don't even like sales, but at the same time, I'm like, again, if I try and sell this person something and they don't want it, once our sales meeting is over, it's more than likely they're going to forget I even tried to sell PT to them. I've taken many consultation meetings, been told no for selling personal training too many times to count, and a handful of people I tried to sell personal training to still come up and talk to me every day. The failures that I've faced, the failures I've experienced, and the hardships that have come from those failures have, for the most part, all turned into benefits and good things. The YouTube videos I posted that to this day have 2 views, those were failures, but they taught me how to get to this point. The videos I've posted this week, in terms of views, again, most of them 3 to 6 views. I got one that's at like 35 views, which is insane. I thank you guys so much. Go check out Sport or Play Life as a Sport. It's an amazing video. I really love the concept, and it was really off the top of my head. But the videos that came beforehand that I would consider to be failures are exactly what got me to the point where I could push out a concept like that and people could really resonate with the idea of, oh, if I really treat my life like a sport, and I've been good at sports my entire life, I can actually start to win. I was able to take my failures and use it to bring in a concept that people just haven't thought of before, because of the fact that they just haven't taken the time to ideate in that specific type of way. So my failures are now giving me leeway to be a little bit more successful, to do a little bit more, and be a little bit more capable. And so I hope you can learn that. You can practice that. You can say, I'm going to do my absolute best and find where I failed, and then fix that, and then repeat that process. Now, you stay smart, stay safe. I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.